Alright, you guys, this is my interview with a bookman.
Alright, so we have Reed here, and he's one of our book people. And so, what is a bookman?
A bookman is an individual who has decided to set himself apart from the rest of society, in the sense that they're spending 14 hours a day focusing on serving a specific community with no guarantee, under the category of salesman, but that's not what we actually are. I mean, we do sell things, but we're not trying to make a sale. We find a use for the family, and it's something they could use and they would like, and it would benefit their family. We help them with that. We're super ethical when it comes to that situation. You really just don't find a pushy bookman or book girl that actually survives the whole summer.
So, what have you learned about being a bookman so far?
That it's not about the money. Each week you learn something different about yourself. It's about mental toughness. It's about setting out to do something and then forcing yourself to do it regardless of how you feel in the situation. So like if I say at night, I'm going to wake up at 7 a.m. tomorrow. 7 a.m. when I wake up and I don't feel like getting up anymore because I got a class at 9 a.m. and I'm like, oh, I can sleep another hour. It's about actually getting up at the time you set forth. Even though you don't want to, you said you were going to do it and you told yourself you were going to do it, and it's making the habit of actually completing the things you set out to do.
How long have you been doing this?
Wow, this is actually my first summer. I am the only rookie in the house. I've only been doing this this is going to be my 7th week of doing it. I mean, I fully plan on doing it the next couple summers though.
So, why do this?
Instead of doing any other job.
Most people will say that working 14 hours a day I might work today and make $60.
What's your motivation?
Well, really, it's a combination of things. I was not necessarily in the greatest place before I joined. I was stuck in my own old ways. Could never necessarily break out of them. And this has given me the opportunity of putting my life on a schedule that I have no option but to follow if I want to succeed. So it's been a way to change my habits, to focus on being able to create a better life for myself, for one. My motivation behind doing it is my parents and what they've given me. They've sacrificed a lot for me to grow up in the way that I did. My mom actually stayed home with me and raised me that way, so I have very close and utmost respect for my mother. I want to eventually be able to give them everything that they've given me. So I want to be successful in starting businesses. And you can't do that with bad habits of not putting forth effort. So my motivation behind it, I guess, is wanting to do better and succeed in a world, in a country that allows people to succeed if you work your hardest to do so. It's basically the American dream.
America, yeah, coming again to save the day, yeah, America.
So, what's your schedule like?
My schedule, so 5:40 a.m. wake up time, cold shower. It's 5:45, wake up, we leave the house at 6:05 every morning. So 3 of us wake up, exercise, shower, get dressed, grab my iPad, iPhone, then I hop in the car with my other roommates. They have their own cars, but then we head to Dina's Diner. That's only Monday through Friday. Then we go to Denny's on Saturday for the pancakes. Then after that, we get there around 6:15, 6:20, and then we leave the restaurant at 7:15. So we spend an hour there. What we do is we prep where we're going to go during the day and what we're going to do and the areas we're going to cover. And every morning I eat scrambled eggs, 2 pieces of bacon, hash browns with ketchup and Frank's hot sauce. Frank's is good. My host's dad, Mike, put me onto that more than less. Then we do our execs at 7:15. We're out at 7:05, and then we do our execs at 7:15. Or 7:15 is like when we cut it off. And execs are goofy things to get you out of your comfort zone, to get you excited for the day. And we do them in front of, like, in a parking lot in front of the entire restaurant and everyone who's around, to help us with confidence and just break us out of the norm. Then we head to our turf. Then for the first, from around 7:45, 7:50, depending on when we get to our turf, we call it cleanup. And that's when we go to the houses we missed during the day. And then from around 10:30, 11 to 5 o'clock, we cold call and knock on doors that we've never been to before.
What do you hate / like about being a bookman?
It's all about growth. So it's about changing the way you do things. So there's nothing you hate or dislike. So there's nothing necessarily bad about the job. You're doing something new. The hours, some people would say working 14 and a half hours a day is bad. We look at it as a good thing because it builds a habit of being able to force yourself to work and knock on doors and visit people and talk to people for that long of a day. And we haven't met these people before. Rarely ever do we actually have we met them before when we cold called. So I mean, there's nothing really to hate about it. We're based off of commission, so everything we do is unknown. So that can be a little stressful sometimes. Working 14 hours a day can be stressful. But there's not too much to hate or dislike about it.
Alright, so how are you different than any other college student?
Name a college student that doesn't do this job who works 14 hours a day with no guarantee. Most of the kids I know are probably working, like the college job I came from, we worked 4-hour shifts on average, 4-hour shifts. And then you have other kids who work 8-hour shifts. Most of them are not doing hard, or they're not doing necessarily anything hard. And then a lot of kids, the majority of kids that I know, are probably doing nothing, sitting on the couch watching TV, or creating bad habits. If you want to say your potheads, for example, and you have your kids who are drinking all the time, falling into those categories. They're not preparing themselves, or the small gratification you get from doing what you want during the summer versus working hard and creating a lifestyle that'll change how you view the whole world.
Alright, so how did you hear about Southwestern?
Well, I heard about Southwestern. I actually got a phone call. It was a pretty bland phone call. It was, hey, you're Reed Cooper. You work with I work with Southwestern Advantage. His name was David Thomas. And I didn't really know what was going on, but it was an internship for the summer. And I had nothing to do. And I had asked God for a way out and a way to develop myself, and I got a phone call, so I said, all right, I'll show up for the interview.
So where are you from originally?
I am from Oxford, Mississippi, born and raised, and I also go to the University of Mississippi, which is in Oxford. So I drove up to this house, and as I pull into the driveway, I run up to the door to knock on the door, and I knock on it, and this guy pulls up behind me. So usually if I'm in someone's driveway, it's early in the morning, it's like 8:15, and if someone pulls in behind me, I'm like, that's the owner. So I walk up, and he hops out of his car, takes a picture of my license plate, and then he has his phone out, and he's walking up to me, and with his phone, so I'm like, he's gonna take a picture, right? So I gotta pose for this. So I posed for the picture, and he didn't think that was funny. And he was like, you're casing all these houses, you're driving up, you're doing all this stuff. And I was like, sir, I'm just a college student from Mississippi. I just turned 20, like not even a month ago. And he was like, oh, he's like, I know what you're doing. And this time the owner comes out of the house. The owner's like, what's going on here? Like, just completely oblivious to the whole situation. And the guy's like, I'm so-and-so, do you know this guy? And he was like, yeah, I know him. He was like, yeah, I'm your neighbor on this street. That guy's actually my best friend. And they're like, oh, okay. They know each other through people. And I was like, hi, I'm just the bookman. And I walk up to him. I was like, yeah, your neighbor's being super cool. He's checking out, making sure that I'm not doing anything wrong. He's being a really good neighbor. And the guy that was like taking a picture of me went from being mad and super sketched out to, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm protecting the neighborhood. And turns out the owner of the house actually was a previous customer like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And I told him what I was doing, and he was like, yeah, we picked up everything for our kids. So I got to talk to him for a second, and it literally ended as fast as it started. Like, he was cool. He knew what I was doing. He knew I wasn't sketchy. He knew what I was doing was legit. I guess you can say people are protective of their neighbors, and it's a really good thing here in Michigan. So I pulled up to this house. I thought it might be an old family. I wasn't 100% sure. So I knock on the door like normal, and I always show up with a smile and a great attitude. And even with the people who are just rude or don't want to talk to me, they're usually super nice just because I have a good attitude about it. And so usually they treat me well. And like if I treat them well, they treat me well. But I had this guy, and I was talking to him. I was like, hi, my name's Reed Cooper. I'm a college student from Mississippi. And you must be the cool dad of the house? And he was like, no, I'm the grandfather. I was like, oh, okay, that's awesome. And his little granddaughter walked out. I was like, oh, that's awesome. I was like, I'm just the bookman. I show like educational resources. And then before I could even finish, he goes, get off my property now. Leave. Go. I was like, okay, I'm just helping with education. And he's like, get off, leave. Get in your truck and leave. It's like, okay, I'll leave. So got in the car and started back up. He went inside, and as I was backing up, he came out and sat down on the porch and just stared at me as I was backing up the driveway. Well, there's a house here and then a house here, not connected driveways. It's on like a road with some trees, so it's like not city but not country at the same time. And then I pulled up to that house, and I went into the driveway, and as I was hopping out of my car, the car I pulled up behind, a kid hopped out. I was like, oh, I didn't know anyone was here. He wasn't the owner, he was just the boyfriend of the girl who just got dropped off at the bus. No parents were home. I was like, uh-oh, tons of kids, not where I'm supposed to be. This just got awkward. I was like, yep, here's my card. I'll come talk to y'all later. Still, the old man is at the house next door staring at me. And I'm just waving at him, smiling, and he's just not having a good time. And I'm pretty sure he called the police. Because when I was leaving, I pulled up to another house and I saw a cop drive by. But I was like up, the driveway was up, and he couldn't see my car or anything, which is okay. He can pull me over. I have permits. I'm literally showing educational stuff to help kids with education, or younger ones with getting excited about learning and reading, and older ones about, making great grades, and just trying to impact a community to do the best that they can at school and get the most out of it as possible. So if a cop stops me, it usually turns out well, and I've had a cop stop me before and they ended up buying books because they liked what we were doing so much. So it's never really in trouble. You just have to have the confidence and conviction in what you're doing is good. And I mean, you can do it all day, every day, and you just find joy in hard work.
So what will you do in the future of your life?
So right now, I was starting a few businesses. I could never get any traction in those businesses because I didn't have the work ethic that I needed. Also wasn't, for me, I have a big religious conviction, now. I wasn't in the right place with God, so I was not getting the traction I needed to be successful. Now that I'm doing this and creating good habits to work a lot to be successful, I plan on I'm an inventor and an entrepreneur. So I'm creating a device for parking that will, allow people to know, it will allow universities and other things to know when kids are parking or when the parking spot's being used. So, and also will know if they need to be ticketed because they're not in the right place. And I'm okay with telling people that because it's not really going to be a big deal. Not many people are going to put in the work to make it successful. Two, I have a whole book of inventions and ideas that I've written down over the years, or really the past year. I will eventually use to take place. Once I am successful enough to put money into some of the research. Also want to have a few contracts with the government. I have a few charities actually. I believe that the only way that people will come out of poverty is if the community itself helps lift them up. And I'm going to need some governmental help for that. But not necessarily all the government, but I'll just need some of their support. Fires in buildings, safe ways to get out of high places so that if a fire starts in the middle of a building and the people up top are stuck, they can get to the bottom without being hurt or having to brave the fire. A standard issue, or not, I say standard issue, it's not a standard issue yet, an actual way for people to survive a fire. Basically, it would be a system that would eliminate a fire in an entire house while protecting the family in the house. I know it sounds confusing, but I plan on inventing, creating companies, sticking with Southwestern Advantage, either starting a company with them and then moving off to myself, or putting all my companies that I want to build in their company, in their grouping of companies. That way I'll have some support at the beginning. And it's not really about the money to me as much as it is I want to be successful so that I can do great things that impact a community of forgotten people. Because there's so many wealthy people in the world who say this is wrong with the world, but they're not actually doing anything to help them. And I want to force their hand by being the first one who actually does it and does what he says he'll do.
All right, so what type of school is Southwestern?
Southwestern Advantage School, it's like a sales school. So they teach us it's the actual #1 sales school. I mean, Google, Coca-Cola, don't quote me on Coca-Cola, but there's there's tons of billion-dollar companies who are paying for training at our institution that we're getting for free. They also pay Southwestern Advantage thousands of dollars for kids who have gone through the program. So their whole goal is developing and building character, hard work ethic, and developing people to be better so that they can impact a greater and broader community in a short sense.
Alright, so what do you say when you knock on the door, or what do you do when you knock on the door?
Yeah. So not most of the time, all the time, if someone's not outside and we're knocking on the door, what we do is we walk up, knock, we take 3 steps back, put our book back down, and then we step 3 steps behind that. So we're 5 to 6 steps behind, depending on how tall you are. I'm like 6'2", so I have to stand a little further back. So one, we're less intimidating, and we don't want to scare grandparents or stay-at-home moms. That way they feel safe opening the door. And then we start off by saying, stand sideways so they can see us and know we're not doing anything. And then we start off by saying like, hi, my name's Reed Cooper. I'm with Southwestern Advantage. You must be the cool mom of the house. And they'll say something like, yes, or I don't know about cool, or oh, depends on who you ask. And I go, well, that's awesome. I'm actually just the Bookman. I show educational resources, like high schoolers, all the way down to the ankle biters. I talk to like 30 families a day. I mean, I only get a few minutes with each. Do you have a quick place inside? Or, I mean, I can show you the rest out here. You reach for the book bag and look around all stupid. And then they're either like, what are you doing? That's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I guess you haven't heard about me coming around yet. This is just my summer internship. I'm actually a college student from Mississippi. Yeah, trust me, Mama's not happy. I'm 900 miles away from home. What I do is I help with education. So we show websites, books, and apps.
Alright guys, so this was the end of the interview. I know it sounds a little cut off, but that was actually the end of the interview, so I'll see you guys next few of mine. Bye.